Hello and welcome to our program Where God Weeps, a program where we speak about the situation of the suffering church around the world. Today it is my very great privilege to be speaking with Father Douglas Bazi, a Chaldean Catholic priest working with the refugees in the camps in northern Iraq, forced from their homes by the brutality and violence of ISIS militias. To tell us more about his work and the day-to-day suffering that he sees, it is my very great privilege to welcome Father Douglas to our program. Father Douglas, thank you for being with us here today on Where God Weeps.
I'm glad to be here. Shlamad Maria Haumennoch. That's me. Peace of the Lord be with you in our language.
Father Douglas, before we get a little bit to the work of the refugees and your particular work with them, can you tell us what is the situation now in northern Iraq?
In general, the life in North Iraq, it was, let's say, quiet till last June 2014. And since that time, the situation get worse day by day till August. Since it was the story, the story start. And when one of the militia, let me call them before gang, and they took one of the Allah name and became a religious movement, and the situation start to
deteriorate.
Day by day, and just an overnight. That's mean over. Just from our community, we are talking about over than 100,000 escape from the face of devil of ISIS to the two ways. One of them it is to the north, to the Duhok and Zaho. Another it is a little bit to the east, whereas the Erbil it is especially located in Ankawa. It's a small city, almost they are Christian.
Just to give a bit of context, the ISIS militias, they've taken a swath of territory from Syria down to northern Iraq, and they've forced the Christian villagers north, out of their villages, Mosul, Karakosh, all of these villages, they push them north to Erbil. How many refugees are we talking now, for example, in Erbil, around where you are working?
Just the city where I served there, I'm talking about in just over one night, we received 35,000 people just in one night. We are talking about properly 18,000 families they get into the city in one day.
Now these of course are not just Christians, but Muslims, religious minorities, all different religious traditions.
If we talk overall Iraq, we are talking about 2.6 million people. They are just escape and move from place to place. That means inside the Muslim also, Shia and Sunnah, and also Yazidi. This is the really tragic situation to them, because they get very hard harm situation, and also the Christian. That means the minority, they are the first victim in my country.
You are working day to day in a refugee camp. How many people would you be working with specifically in your camps?
First of all, my church became to be a camp, and I like to call it center, because camp is a negative word, and I call them relatives because they are our people. And it is just a small church with a big park, and I'm always was a little bit complain, why it's so big park, like that. But after that I was complain, oh my God, why it was a small park, because I want to put more people there. So first day I received in our church, in our center, we are talking about 214 families. That means over 1,000 people in the church. But they found a little bit of places and rented house by our diocese. Now we have 564, because the last 2 weeks a new baby born, and they call him Douglas after my name. I don't know why. In any case, let me just tell you, when the people arrived, they were completely lost, aggressive. Even when we start to cook, you know, to prepare food to them, and even they don't like to eat. They say, what for? We are out of our houses. What for to live anymore? Some of them, they were looking for, okay, it just maybe takes a couple of days. Why should I eat in another land, okay? I will go home, and the people used to sleep in the garden. After that, we provide military tents and winterized tents and caravans, because it takes at least 8 months with this situation.
What about the psychological trauma of the people? You've made a little bit of reference, people who say, why should I not smoke? Is it because they've given up the will to live, or is it, can you tell us a little bit about the trauma, and how do you heal this trauma? How do you work with these people to overcome this damage?
First of all, let me, for the Western people, I have to explain a little bit about one of the issues in our mentality. It is the meaning of the house to us. In the Western, house is the place where the people can gather and live, sleep, sometimes like hotel, okay? To us, house is mean the high level of value. House to us, it is not the people they can gather it, but it's honor. House is mean, for example, if I offer to you food and I say this is food made by my home, that means you have to take it. And if I say this girl, she came from house, that means she is honest, honor, perfect. So to be out of our house, that means nothing in our life. That means everything is going to be meaningless, you know. Nothing is important. So in our mentality, and the people, when they lost houses, that means they feel that they are nobody. So for example, nightmare to us, it was not just during the night. It was daymare to us. For example, when I was asked kids, what you want? The kids, they will repeat what they hearing the parents they are saying in the tents. And if we look to the trauma, for example, let's talk about the girls. First days, I remember, no, just 10 days, when I, for example, say greeting the people, all the kids or the teenager, for example, hello, good morning, no one was able to respond to me. They were not even to respond to say, yeah, hello, never. They were, you know, attention, aggressive, and they were looking for any chance to shouting. For example, when we offer, for example, food, and they say, are there salt in this food? For example, we say no, because many people, they say, why, you don't have salt? I don't want to eat. And sometimes, of course, they say bad word like that. I prepare our volunteers to situation like that. But the trauma, believe me, our people traumatize at least till now, let's say 40%. But this trauma will be, to recover it will need years. But it's not showing now, they're showing the future. Now the people, they are, you know, hidden everything. That's why we start in our diocese. Already I start, and it will be ready after 2 weeks, I hope. It will be a big house just for how to recovering from the trauma.
But at the moment, the only way that you can help them start to process is by your example, by your Christian example. How do you come to forgiveness? Or is that not even a word that you can introduce into the conversation?
Still, the Christian exists in Iraq, not because we are power or, you know, we are still exist in Iraq as a Christianity because we used to forgive. Of course, we never forget, but forgive. We, when start forgive, we will let the grace of Lord transfer from age to age. If we stop forgive, the next generation will receive hate, will receive revenge. So it is not easy, and it's not just by word. And to live situation like that, it is not the example to talk about forgiveness, but to live with the people. And this is important. My people, they are not looking for heroes. They are looking to someone, live with them, sharing with them what is going on. and understand them. You know, we have many details no one can understand. No one can understand, for example, when you look to the young girls and they are just sit there, of course it will be very hard to talk about future in front of them. When they look to the another people and they cannot wear like them because they lost everything, don't talk with them. For example, oh, what is the fashion now, for example, and so we have many details. Believe me, destroy the man. But to recovering from that, just solidarity, not by offering just food, but to be close to them and tell them, we will pass. Everyone can succeed, but not everyone can be creative. We are a Christian, creative people. We cannot accept to be just succeed. We are creative, and we have to be unique in our life.
Father, I suppose one of the reasons that you can live, and that is mean truly live with these people, is that you too have experienced suffering in your life. I can imagine it's painful, and I hope I don't dig too deeply into this question, but you yourself suffered kidnapping, you yourself suffered torture. Can you tell us a little bit what happened here in your own story?
I start to talk about my story when I found that my story, it is close to what happened to my people. It is the same. I consider myself unlucky because still I have opportunity to talk about my story, but what about those who can't? You know, I mentioned that before. In Iraq, it's normal. People, they are looking for oil, but when they start reaching or sticking the land for oil, before the oil, they will find blood of our martyrs as a Christian for hundreds
for generations and generations,
yes.
Centuries.
I think it is more than oil. In any case, even I threw out a lot of, let's say, tragic experience, but day by day I looked to it as a grace. I've been, one time they blew up my church. I survived twice by so close explosion to me, and one time one of the militia, Islamic militia, and they shoot me. I was standing the main gate of my church, and I got shot in my left leg and by AK-47. Still the bullet is inside, and I've been kidnapped. It was normal day after.
When was it?
2006, after the Sunday Mass. I went to visit a family, and I took the highway, and immediately they closed the highway by cars full of the people with weapon, armed, and they took me from my car and put me in the back.
They were waiting for you. They knew it.
No, they I don't know, but
you happened to be there.
After that, I discovered everything, because 9 days with people, they used to talk with you, special when. I used to be to them a spiritual guide and during the day, but during the night I was enemy to them.
So they put you in the back of the car and they covered you?
Yes. And they give me to
a blindfold.
And they told me, if you're going to open your eyes, you will be shot immediately. When they took me from the car, I didn't feel. I just found myself in the fall down on the ground, and when I waked, it was. I just feel there was a lot of blood in my mouth, my face, and one of them, he bit me by his knee to my face, and he broke all my nose.
He broke your nose and your.
And this takes time, because after they let me, for example, without water for days, and they used to tell me that we are going to. Taking care about you as according to the war, you are prisoners among us, and I was, fighting with them with this issue, because I told them, I'm not your enemy. I know Islam more than you, so you became my enemy, and you kidnapped me for not reason. Just the only thing, I am Christian. And after that, they show me that why they kidnapped me. They told me, this is the list. This is your name and this is the number. Your list, you have to bring you here. The number, it is how much they pay to us. When I told them, who is going to pay to us? They say, even if you are asked a lot, but I know why we are love you to tell you that. That's mean, look to us who we are. We are using ambulance, police car, all checkpoints know us. We are using also the radio, the police channel, you know.
So the corruption was very high.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it was. In any case, after 6 days, they let me talk with another priest for negotiated for money. And in the beginning, they asked for $1 million. I told them, what? I cost $1 million? Are you joking? Who can pay $1, okay, to me? In any case, I'm saying that, but it was, I cannot, for example, they used to put pistol in my head for 100th time, just like a joke. What is, I remember is I hated when you used to talk about, for example, bad words about the people you are, you know, love them, like, you know, family, friends, your faith, and just they mention like it is something, you know, it's nothing to them. This is really hurt. And after 6 days, when I talk with the priest, they saw it was I told them in our language, Aramaic, that's it. I'm not going to return back.
You felt you were going to die there?
Believe me, situation like that, to be dead, it's a good opportunity or a good choice. To be treasured like that.
I know you brought a shirt with you,
Yeah.
The shirt that you wore during your kidnapping. Can you just show us very briefly?
This is my shirt when they released me. Of course, it was not opportunity to me to also in 9 days to see my shirt. And when I look to my blood, and it is not just to remember, but it's also a question, when will stop that? It's a pity to look to your people, to your kids, and to say to yourself, are they going to say to be the same thing to them?
Can you forgive?
After kidnap, I didn't escape from Iraq and Baghdad. I spent there 7 years with the same feeling, the same. For example, the next door to me, it is a mosque. When they kidnapped me, when they took me to another place to talk and ask me questions, they opened the channel, the TV, and they choose one of the channel, it is for Quran, and make the voice louder. And they told me why they are doing that. They told me it is, let the neighbor think that we are believer, you know, beliefs. And if you are going to shout, no one will hear your voice. So with Quran, and they used to pit me. So next door to my church is only mosque and used for officer prayer 5 times. So when I heard the Quran, I remember how was the situation there. But even so, who will win? It is not who is revenge, but who forgive. And believe me, it's not easy, but it's not possible.
Father, I want to come back now to the question of the refugees and your work. How do you see the future now? I mean, you have the refugees, you're working with them, you're trying to keep them. Are you trying to keep them in anticipation that they might go back home? Or do you see actually that you're simply helping them on a step of leaving Iraq? How does this make you feel? And what do you do? What advice do you give, for example, a young couple that comes to you, a young family that comes to you and says, Father, what do we do? Our home is destroyed. We have no future in a camp. Do we stay in our country or do we leave our country?
I used to have this question daily, I don't know, maybe 500 times from each person ask me a lot of questions like that. Believe me, I don't share my opinion with them, even if I know in the end of the corridor.
Yes.
It is not very quiet light there. But even so, I'm always using, for example, put the people into group, negative and positive. I taking care about the positive people. I don't want them to be negative. To me, it is control damage much we can. If we are going to go home or going to abort, this opportunity, it is not, that's mean, I'm always telling the people, we are not belong to land. We are belong to Lord. If we belong to Lord, any land will be our land. We are like ambassadors to Jesus. If we're showing the right face of Jesus, whatever, if we are in Iraq or outside Iraq, believe me when they say, what a pity for Iraq without Middle East, without Christian, Middle East without Christian. But if the Middle East or Iraq, they had them decision to reject it as, it is not our fault. We are Iraqi people as a Christian, proud and in love with our country. But Iraq, it is not proud because we are part of it. We are a few people there, but we are like salt. If they want to reject that salt, okay, they can eat the food without salt. This is them problem, not our problem. So we are belong to Jesus, but by numbers. 50% from our people
Will go.
and already start. 30% they will decide to stay in Kurdistan because they don't have, for example, opportunity or help or support as a money or something to go outside. And also the language is one of the struggle here. 20% if our villages, that's mean in Mosul no one will, even if all the American soldiers be in Mosul, no one from Christian will go back because we are, the trust between people fall down.
Yes. And that's the greatest tragedy, actually, is what do you go back to? Because those people, your neighbors who you thought would protect you, who you lived with generations next door to and then they didn't defend you, how can you go back to them?
One of the Christian family from Mosul, his neighbor told him, you have 24 hours. I'm going to take your home. If I will see after 24 hours, I'm going to kill you inside your home with all your family. So the Christian one, he say, okay, what I have to do? So he gathering what he can, and the day following the morning, he went and knocked the door to his neighbor. So his neighbor, the Muslim one, he saw him and he get angry. He told him, I told you have to leave. I told him, yes, but we've been 30 years together. I say, it's a shame to me if I leave without saying goodbye to you. You are my neighbor. And he hug him and he say, I'm really sorry. I am blind. Tell him, no. He told him, you have to stay now. I protect you. He said, it's too late. I'm leaving.
Is this not the devil having his day? How do you yourself keep your spirit? How do you keep so you don't despair when you see such violence and such brutality?
Let me say that, but just normally, okay? We are a Christian. We have to be not just for good days, but also for bad days. If we consider what happened to us as bad days, we are already prepared. So it's not the time to us to complain. I'm always telling the people, if you want to complain, just leave. If you want to stay, stop complaining. As a Christian, we cannot just choosing as when we go to the supermarket for shopping, I want this one and this one. No, this is one package. If you want to take all the life, this is the cross. So to us, it's not time for complaint. It's time for work, not for words. So I'm just encouraged to the people who they look to us, because I hear that many times here in Europe. They told me, How come you are strong more than us? And tell them, no one is strong more than the others. But it's the event. And don't be worried. Don't say, for example, there they are facing with death. Here we can't, we are relaxing. No, it is not the question of that. The question it is, just open to the Holy Spirit and He will give you the power. We are open to the Holy Spirit. Our example is Jesus. The model, our model to us is Jesus, not the bad people. We don't want to follow bad people. We want to follow good people. So if we revenge or make the same thing what they are doing with us, it's like what is the Indian wise man when he say, what is the benefit if the dog pit you and you are looking for him to pit him again? To pit it again, that's me will be in this case 2 dogs. And we don't want to be dogs. We are free people.
And you yourself, how do you keep your spirit?
I belong to a school named Never Give Up. And we will never give up.
What can we do, Father? How can we help?
For short term and long term, I ask you help in just in these 2 things. It's not a question of just food. The question how to be the people, Christian in Iraq, still can showing the right face of Jesus to the world. Keep us and save us to keep that pure face to the world. So help the local church there to keep going and keep showing the love of Lord. And if there are our people outside, for example, want to go outside, so please open gates to my people. What's the point to put our kids among the wolves?
Father Douglas Bazi, thank you very much for having been with us today on our program.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for having been with us today in our program, Where God Weeps. And if you'd like to know more about the situation of Christians in Iraq, or perhaps how you might be able to help, I would encourage you, please look at the contact information at the end of this program. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.